Welcome, guys, back to the I Love Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Woolwine. Today, we are on here with the IWC's Bulk Nasty. How we doing, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
Great. Long time in the wait. We've been trying to do this forever, and the world keeps getting in the way.
Definitely worth the
Before,
wait, though.
definitely, and I'm excited. I really enjoy getting on here with you guys out there in Pittsburgh.
I
It's always a
appreciate
great
it.
time. I'm from West Virginia, so like
Okay.
it's great. I uh I've never growing up I didn't realize that such a big promotion was right up the state. Like because I grew up actually watching like or going to IWA Mid South and IWA East Coast shows with
Okay.
like Madman Pondo and Ian Rotten. It's like I never realized that you guys were just right up the way.
Yeah. Actually, Joaquin Wild is from West Virginia, and he trained at our school.
I didn't know he was from West Virginia. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I want to say, now don't quote me, but I want to say Morgantown. But
Okay.
yeah, he was from West Virginia,
Now
or
I'm a go ahead.
I think, or he went to WVU. I can't remember which one, but either way, it's a good story.
Yeah, I'm from Charleston, and then
Okay.
I lived in between Charleston and Huntington, like until I moved to Chicago. So
Okay.
most good half of my life.
All right.
Before we get into your wrestling journey, are there any social medias or anything like that you want to plug? Let the people know where to find you.
Yeah. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's Bulk Nasty 15.
Okay,
And on Facebook, I think it's just Bulk Nasty. But yeah, give a follow. I'm really active on Instagram, and everything else is kind of just a copy and paste. But try to keep up on the content and keep it interesting for everybody.
definitely, I can relate as a podcaster. um, Seeing how this is the I Love Wrestling podcast, I'm gonna start with when did you find wrestling and kind of what made you fall in love with it?
Um, I believe the first TLC match at Mania. I
Okay.
remember watching it with my brother, and we're 11 years apart, so he was much older than I was. And I remember it just being like the cool thing to be watching. Everyone was there, and it was just like the first time I kind of, was like, whoa, what's up with like all these big guys and all the athleticism and everything? Because I was always a big kid, like I was always the biggest kid in my grade. And then I was like, wait, there's things big guys can do. Like, all right, let's see what this is all about.
Okay. So like what would you say like or who would you say are like your biggest inspirations, especially growing up?
So inspiration in the sense of getting me into wrestling, not in the sense of inspiring my wrestling style. But I would say Triple H was a big one. Uh, Mankind, being from Pittsburgh, Kurt Angle, and then honestly, just a lot of the ECW guys. I kind of got. I'm white trash enough that I got ECW and kind of sucked me in, and it was just kind of, I'm like, all right, uh, this is something that as I kept getting older and getting bigger, I'm like, oh, this is something I could do. This might be worth investigating. And then as I got older, I was like, all right, here, let's do this.
Did you ever get to make it to an ECW show?
No, but
No.
um, I don't want to be that guy dropping names, but I have a pair of wrestling boots that Shane Douglas laced for me. So I'll take that
Okay.
over being at an ECW show.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. What made you decide to start training?
Uh, for when I was in high school, we had to do a senior project of what you wanted to be when you grew up.
Hmm.
And in senior high school, I still didn't know what I was going to be, so I did it on wrestling. Uh, Googled wrestling schools near me, found IWCs, and between how close it was, how affordable it was, and the history in IWC and the history of the trainers at the time, which was Super Hentai and Marshall Gambino, I was like, okay, this place is legit. Uh, Pound for pound, I'm stacking up pretty good with the roster, and it's affordable and local. Let's do this.
So, like, how long were you actually in training before you made your debut?
So it was a year-long program. I think it might have been a year and a month after for us to finally get on a show. But yeah, it took about a year.
Okay. Was Proving Ground 4 that debut match for you?
Yes, yes, sir.
That
Against
was
RJ
RJ
City.
City.
Yep.
What was that feeling like going out there and being in front of the crowd for the first time and facing somebody like RJ who would go on to be in like AEW and stuff?
Uh, well, it was definitely nice getting thrown right into the deep end. You get in some former champion, and like you said, future AEW, no graphic having superstar. It was definitely a wake up moment. Even if it isn't the biggest crowd, you realize how many people are out there, how many people are watching, and then you realize that you're also in the middle of a fight while being watched, while in your underwear, and it just kind of, if you're not careful, you kind of get caught, not being able to see the forest through the trees, and that's how you end up losing. But it after a couple smacks to the face, it woke me up, and I was like, yep, here we go.
Definitely. Your first championship win wouldn't be too far after that. For the IWC won the high stakes championship against Kobe Red
Yes.
and Jimmy Vegas.
Yep.
What do you remember from that matchup, and how did it feel to get that first championship and kind of have the IWC behind you?
Um, so I remember it was a hardcore match of sorts because I was getting. Can I cuss on the show?
Yeah,
I was getting my ass whooped by a crutch, thanks to Jimmy Vegas. But other than that, honestly, it was just another surreal moment. After the bell rang, I was kind of like, you get that tunnel vision where it starts to breathe in and out, and you're like, whoa, what just happened? Like, okay, that was real. Okay, we're doing this now. Okay, and then the ref raises your hand and everything, and it's slow motion, but also everything's just so quick. It doesn't make sense unless you're there. And then afterwards, you get in the locker room and you kind of realize you start seeing the pecking order of where you stand, and it's like, okay, this guy, and then eventually that guy right there, and you start to see who's the next target, and also get to see who's targeting you.
do you think at that point in your career you was ready for that championship?
In the sense of it making me realize it's time to take things more serious, yes.
Okay.
You clean up your diet, clean up your training, get to practice. Uh, so in that sense, it kind of after about a month or two, I felt I was where I was supposed to be in terms of readiness. But those first 2 months, it was like, oh, you better sink or swim, buddy.
Do you have a favorite defense of that high stakes championship?
Uh, well, it wasn't really a defense. I lost it to Gilbert, but the reason why that's my favorite is because it started a feud with one of my mentors, as you mentioned, Jimmy Vegas, and I got to see a 260-pound man come flying at me with double knees to my chest, and although it hurt, it was quite the spectacle to see someone that large flying through the air that fast. So I'm gonna have to go with that being my favorite defense. Plus, it was pretty awesome seeing a Gilbert entrance in person. So,
Did working with somebody like Gilbert? Obviously, he's been in the business for a long time. Was Did you get to have any feedback or talk to him about anything or anything like that afterwards?
oh yeah, yeah, we I've been lucky in the sense that everyone I've wrestled has always given me the time afterwards to share some of the wisdom and show me where I could have done better or where I did absolutely terrible at. And he's no different. I'm not going to get spoil all the secrets. I'm not going to tell him all the
Yeah,
tips. I'm not going to tell you all the tips he gave me, but he gave me a couple good pointers and some of that wily veteran, um, instinct. So it was it's nice to see when even people who have been in the WWE take the time to pay it forward to even people on the indie level.
Do you enjoy working guys like Gilbert or even like the Hurricane, like those different kind of quirky characters?
Yeah, because it honestly, they make me use my brain, which I never do normally. I remember wrestling Hurricane. He kept trying to win by count out, and it's like, well, one, I'm not in very good shape. Obviously, running is not my specialty, and two, it took me half the match to figure out what he was trying to do. And then once it clicked, I was like, oh, you got to change your whole game plan here, sir.
That's great. You know, one thing I thought was really fascinating when doing research is Cold Blooded 2019. You face Wardlow for the IWC World Title. What was your experience like battling Wardlow? And it's crazy to think, now he's AEW TNT champion, things like that. Like,
Yeah,
are those things you saw as possibilities when it happened?
yeah. So we actually wrestled three times in IWC, and the second time we wrestled, it was October 2018, Unbreakable.
Hmm.
And, obviously Wardlow is a big guy, he's powerful. And I think at the time he was like 250. And I watched him run across the ring, do a standing moonsault, or I guess that'd be a standing shooting star press on top of me. And pretty much took me out of the match after that. And I was just like, all right, this guy, this graceful, this size, if he's not, and he's a great looking guy, if he's not the face of some big company soon, I don't know anything about wrestling. But yeah, we had some great battles. And it was just being two sides of the same coin as big guys. One's a little more athletic, one's a little more brutish, and it was just I had fun, man. Even though I lost, I had fun.
Out of the three matches, do you have a favorite?
My favorites from Unbreakable in 2018. Everyone I talk to says Cold Blooded is the better one, the more enjoyable one. So that's up to the fans to say. But those are the two best. Our first go around, we were both very inexperienced, and I think if you look
That
back at it,
was Reloaded too, if I'm correct.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So look at you doing your research. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I try my best.
Nah, it's great. So,
Oh,
but yeah, that my favorite was definitely Unbreakable.
okay.
There were some outside circumstances on the show that really kind of made um, the match special. So I gotta be biased and go with that one.
Yeah, IWC is really good about having these kind of themed pay-per-views, like Proving
Oh,
Ground. Definitely an excellent way to get new guys up on the show. Reloaded, I actually watched the newest one. I did a live stream on it. First time I ever seen a pay-per-view like that, and it was really
yeah.
interesting. Do you guys enjoy those themed, like you don't know what to expect type pay-per-views?
So I can only speak for myself, but I personally love things like Reloaded because you never know what you're gonna. You just show up ready. You're just like, okay, whatever. Could be a championship, could be a goof. Who knows? But just be ready. And then Cage Fury. Unfortunately, it's not every match can be in a cage, but that's always great if you got something going on. I love a good cage match, but the themes are definitely nice, and I'm a sucker for old school wrestling. So the Survivor Series style matches from our previous or this month's show, Civil War, had a place in my heart because it was the elimination tag 4-on-4.
Those are always special,
Oh yeah,
especially when done right.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
speaking of tag action, you were a part of a tag team called Steak and Eggs. How did yourself and Xander come together to form Steak and Eggs?
So I honestly have no idea. One day, the boss man said, "Hey, this guy's your tag partner." He told me all about it. Here you go. And I wasn't sure what he was talking about, and it was just this redheaded weirdo who was obsessed with me and kind of was in the way more than not. But like a STD, he grew on me a little bit, and eventually we got to being on the same page of me using him as a weapon to win matches, and I kind of accepted him as he was for his flaws, and we had a nice little run together until certain things happened. But at the time, Steak and Eggs had a very enjoyable uh, partnership.
Was you guys ever expecting to win those tag team titles?
Uh, I honestly didn't expect to win a match with the kid, but you get to like 9-0, and you're like, all right, this might be, we might have chemistry here.
Yeah.
There's a winning formula. Let's just keep it going.
And then like after your tag team title reign, you would go on to bigger and better things. Eventually beating Andrew Palace in a triple threat for that IWC World title. How did it feel to gain World Championship and be the top guy at IWC?
So I'll shoot straight with you. I never in my life expected to have a title match in IWC, let alone win the heavyweight title. Um, and that's not knocking anybody. Besides myself, and started getting, you win, and you're like, all right, I can do this. And then I won the reset button, could call my shot, and I damn near passed out when they were announcing as a triple threat, just from all the energy in the room and the energy I was putting forth. I think I was also telling somebody they were number one, so I might have been, giving a little too much energy. But yeah, it was surreal. And then you walk back through the curtain and you have that moment of, all right, I'm the face. It's time for me to, do what I can with the company, all things considered. And after that, it was always a thing of what's next, who's next, what's bigger, what's better, and I just kept it moving until the end.
The month before you win the title, you have a match with Andrew Palace for the championship, and it ends in disqualification. When that happened, did you think, "Hey, next month I'm gonna get another shot," or was it like, "Okay, that's my shot, now it's gone"?
I felt like it was going to put me to the back of the line.
Okay.
I was like, okay, here we go with a loss. Now there's going to be, beef with these two that are going to try to squash, and I'm going to be, the redheaded stepchild out of the bunch. But thankfully, I only had to wait one more month.
You'd have going to have quite the reign too, defending, and eventually you get to Bill Coyer, who would ultimately take that championship, and I believe he's held it ever since, if I'm correct.
Well, I don't remember much because I was hit in the head by a laptop, but I
Okay.
remember Bill Collier beat me for it, and then the man down Elijah Dean cashed in his reset button and went on to win the
Okay.
heavyweight title. He ran with it for,
Okay.
he ran from Bill as long as he could, and then Bill beat him,
Okay.
and we had a little moment of like, oh great, he beat both our asses. Now what? But yes,
My
Bill has been ever since Bill has been a dominant champion.
okay, my timeline was a little off. I
Oh, you're
can't.
no big deal.
What you brought up Elijah Dean, somebody else I've had on the podcast. You guys have quite the history, and it seems to be like everybody I get on here has quite the history with Elijah Dean. Do you
Yeah.
have any um, good stories about Elijah Dean, or would you like to shoot on Elijah Dean at all?
So, guys like Elijah Dean and his tag partner Zach Nystrom, they yeah, they beat me and Xander for the tag team titles. Yeah, my grandfather died the same day, but that's can't be related. Um, but after they kind of grew up and matured a little bit, I really started to relate to them and saw that they meant business. They took care of themselves. They were always trying to improve. And as someone who tries to hold himself to a high standard, I respected that. And we formed quite a quite a mutual respect for each other. But if Elijah Dean would stop beating me for titles, that would be fantastic. I
That
don't
would
know what.
probably go a long way.
Yeah, I don't know what his obsession is. Why I can't have nice things around him, but it's terrible. Between that, fat shaming me, I can't get a win with the guy.
You you bring up the fat shaming, but you've gone through quite the transformation though. Like you've shred a lot of weight, you've got in shape. Is that something that's been by design, or has it just happened over time?
Um, so it should have been by design, but it took a lot more time because you get distracted with life and you lose motivation and discipline. But uh, I did a Ray Rose seminar, and he kind of one of his big points was you only get one shot at a first impression. Have good gear, have good fundamentals, have a good look, have a good physique. You don't got to be the tippy top John Cena, Dolph Ziggler's, big shows, whatever, but be in the ballpark of looking like you can get it together and you can raise yourself to the next level. Someone like uh, Walter Gunther. And I remember seeing Big Show with a six pack at one point, and I was like, all right, if a literal giant has a six pack, I have no excuse to be walking around with the love handles and the fat beer gut that I do. So it
Okay,
was, and I'll be vain, and I'll admit that I didn't want to get the loose stomach skin, so I tried to lose the weight slowly over time, and now we're at probably the lowest I've been in 10 years.
that's good. That's good. I mean, progress is progress, and
Yeah, yeah,
it it's nice to see guys actually take that effort because there's so many guys on the indies, and nothing against them, but they don't look the part. That's it's hard to get anywhere when you don't look the part. And the top guys will say it. Like Cody, I think said it best. It's a vanity business.
yeah,
Like you guys are on TV in your underwear. Like
yeah,
you should want
exactly.
to look that part.
And to everyone who kind of would be like, don't bully people about your physique, I always say, look, we're athletes. You got to be athletic. And then you have your guys who are, um, don't quite look the part. They might have a lot of belly fat, but they're like that freak athlete. You got like your
Yeah,
Otis's, guys like,
Keith Lee's. Keith
yeah,
Lee is
yes,
a great example.
exactly. So those guys obviously can't really talk shit on their physiques. But for the most part, Shawn Michaels was never a huge, huge guy.
No.
He was just in shape. Adam Cole isn't a huge, huge guy, but he's in shape. That's kind of all I ask about. When people ask me for advice, I always say, just look like you give a damn. Because you should, and that it should reflect in your body. Like you should be, you know, at least going to the gym 3 times a week or whatever it may be to get yourself in prime condition. If you want to be serious about it, you got to be serious about it.
Do you still train in the ring? Like, is that something you still do all the time?
Absolutely. Not as much as I want to, but definitely you always want to kind of be brushing up on. For at least me, I like to get in there and work on my fundamentals, the chain wrestling that I don't often get to do, and just try to figure out new ways to get to the power move.
Okay. I want to touch on your AEW match. You and several other guys got to take on the Dark Order. How did something like that come about, and what was your experience like working with AEW?
Um, just kind of got lucky. You shoot your emails out there to the people doing the hiring for extras and whatnot, and got called. Got to the arena and nothing but like courteous, respectful people. You know, we were kind of waiting around, and everyone walking in, no matter where they fell in the card, they were very, hey, how's it going, guys? Hey, how's it going? And that's all I can ask for. And you know, backstage they kind of have the list of matches lined up, and you get a call saying, "Hey, you better get down here and get your gear on. You got a match." So I get down there, get your gear on, you get out there, and you have your match. Didn't go like I wanted it to, but I had a match.
Yeah. Could you see yourself back on AEW TV?
I mean, oh, I wouldn't say no. I would love to see it, but it's not something that I think is on the bingo card for this year.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
and that's not knocking anybody or anything. I just don't see it being a thing right now. Especially with like the I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I took a little bit of time, I took a limited time off,
Hmm.
so to say. Like I went part time, had a little bit of a health scare with my old ticker, and I'm still kind of rebounding from that, where I'm trying to get all the rust knocked off, get my physique in order, and you know that's kind of why I was losing some weight as well. So I wouldn't want to be put in a position of trying to impress anybody at AEW is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
But that being said, it was a wonderful time to be there. It was a wonderful time there. I went to school at the University of Pittsburgh, so wrestling at the Pete was again another surreal moment and a real nice, you know, check off my bucket list. And I'm thankful for the opportunity, and it's something that I'll definitely keep with me until my mushy banana brain forgets it on my last days.
Definitely. Um, after you would drop the IWC World Title, not long after you'd start feuding with your old pal Xander. What contributed to you guys kind of splitting up and like getting into that feud with Xander and his new client slash friend Jamie Jameson?
So I think it was just some jealousy on the part of Xander. He'll claim that he's responsible for all my highs and I'm responsible for all the lows. He didn't wrestle the matches for me, so I'm not sure how that factors in, but I guess all the social media posts he made that I never asked for and all the promoting he did that I never asked for, he felt like he was entitled to some sort of attention or celebration or whatever. And he turned his back on me, aligned himself with Jamie Jameson. I whooped both their asses, and they seem to be growing closer as a duo, and they're going on to some bigger, better things. So I like to think that maybe I slapped some sense into them, and I'll take credit for that.
How did it feel to, defeat them both at Plumber Slam?
Oh, it felt great. Jamie James is a guy that I've had a bunch of run-ins with, and we're bound to have a bunch more. Just we're both similar styles, big guys, brawlers, and we're not afraid of we're not afraid of the pain. So, you know, hardcore matches or whatnot, it's just it's gonna be hard hitting. So beating them at IWC where we were all, you know, homegrown from, it was a good moment. I teamed with again, like I said, my mentor Jimmy Vegas. That was a very one night only out of retirement, a special moment for me. And I just kind of keep getting wins over Jamie. So that was a nice little stat padding right there.
We've talked about a variety of guys you've got to face. Do you have any dream matches? Maybe somebody that you'd like to tangle up with?
So in the realm of IWC, Felix Cause, Kabasi Mayhem, as he's known, would be somebody I would love to get in the ring with. He's very unorthodox, to say the least. Big guy, though, deceivingly strong. I think it'd be a fun time. Um, Trying to kind of do it each stage of the way. You can never think of anybody when they put you on the spot, but I'll go ahead and I'll claim somebody from the WWE and say I'd love to have a match with Sheamus.
Okay, that'd be a good one. Two
Yeah,
big brutes
yeah,
throwing blows.
and he's
Do
somebody that inspired my wrestling style and attitude. So it'd be a nice moment for me on the inside as well as the outside.
do you enjoy having matches more with guys your size or a bit bigger, or guys smaller than you?
Um, I'm a big believer in weight classes for a reason, so I like to keep it somewhat within, you know, 20, 30 pounds, but that isn't always the case. I've wrestled guys like Super Hentai, Andrew Palace, they're in the low 200s. I've wrestled guys like Paxton Calloway in the high 400s, Beastman in the high 400s, um, Jason Tyler in the high 300s. And it's fun. I don't have to worry about people running around me. I can kind of just stand and throw punches. The only problem is the next couple of days you feel it versus the smaller guys I have a harder time with because of the quickness and elusiveness. But at least the next day, the only thing that could be hurt is my pride.
Okay. No, Bulk, we are just, I mean, really, we're still just now getting into 2025. What would you say your goals are for this year?
This year, I would like uh, to get myself professionally at a level where if any big company called, I'd be ready to go in an instant. Probably take the whole year to get there, but I think it's smart to do it the right way with a strong foundation. Um, Other than that, right now I'm trying to clean up some of the chaos at IWC and kind of get myself back up in that title picture. So by the end of 2025, I'd like to be, if not champion, at least have my name in the conversation for contenders. And outside of IWC, I just want to get up and down the East Coast, try to get out to the Midwest. Ideally, I'd like to wrestle in every state at least once. So that's always on the list. And then just getting out there to bigger companies, get out there to, you know, anywhere for more exposure, just grow as a wrestler in general.
Okay. Last question. WWE recently did the WWE ID system. There's been some guys from the IWC that have been, proclaimed prospects. Is that system something that you pay attention to? And maybe with a school like yours, um, do, do you have hopes that maybe you could be ID?
Well, yeah, I'm very hopeful that I could be ID, but again, it's one of those things that it kind of has to happen organically. Sam Holloway is somebody that is an IWC regular who is in the WWID program, and you look at him and it makes sense. You're like, oh yeah, you're young, you're giant, and you can do crazy things. Of course, I'm a little bit older, a little bit less talented, so I'm not expecting anything. But it is something that's cool, and I think it's something that um, it was one of those light bulb moments. As soon as they announced it, I was like, oh, that's a great idea. You have prospects and recruiters going to college and high schools. Why shouldn't the WWE do the same thing? And I think it's one of those. It's just going to take wrestling and the WWE to the next level. You're going to get so many more talented wrestlers and so many guys with the raw talent where they can kind of mold them to what they need it to be. And I think it's a genius system. And you know, if I can get eyes on me, I'll gladly take it. But it's not something again, like AEW, it's not something on my radar this year just because of where I stand professionally.
Okay, makes sense. Bulk, with all that said, do you think maybe at the end of the year you would like to jump back on here? Maybe we can get a little update.
Oh, absolutely. I think I really enjoy your podcast setup. You know, the way I think you're a good interviewer. I'll gladly, anytime you want to do this, I'm game.
Sounds good, man. Thank you so much. I know it was complicated getting here. The
It's
road was
okay.
difficult, but we made it. Um, Maybe sometime we can see you out here in the Midwest.
Absolutely. We can talk afterwards, and I can get some Fed names off you, and we can see what we can do.
Sounds good, man. For the viewers, I will leave it at see you guys later.